How are you?
Good, good. Sorry, just give me a second.
All right, because I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Yeah,
All
just
right,
trying to sort that out quickly.
okay, no problem. Thanks everyone for joining in. This is our second podcast session on building the brand with Pako. And basically, what we do is that we have conversations with people that have established themselves in their lanes and are doing amazing things. And we learn from them in terms of what can we take as notes to apply in our own lives. So whether you are in business, you are a professional, you have a career, you are in music, whatever field you are in, there's always something that you can learn. And so what we are doing here is taking notes really to see what can I do in my own life to help me get ahead. How can I brand myself tomorrow in the workplace, in my business? What can I do differently to make sure that I stand out from the competition? And so our guest today is Boipelo Mabe. So she'll be joining us shortly. So a bit about Boipelo. Boipelo is into communications. She's into speaking. She was a Miss South Africa runner-up in 2017. She's been a presenter on radio. She's been a newsreader as well on Soweto TV. And she's also done amazing things in the pageantry space as well. Her latest accomplishment was hosting the International Miss Junior South Africa 2022 Grand Finale. So she's done amazing things in South Africa, outside South Africa as well. So our session today is all about learning from our guest in terms of what is it that we can do in our own lives to also achieve great levels of success as we has done so. So please feel free to invite your friends, let other people know about the session. If there's anyone in your friend list who's into modeling, into speaking, into communications or marketing, please let them know. Let them join the live session, and let's see what good things Bree has for us and what we can learn from her and help us to improve our own lives. So, Bree's dialing in short. Oh, there we go. Look at that.
Hi.
Hi, Bree. How are you doing?
Good, good, thanks. How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm awesome. Thanks so much. Thanks so much.
Yeah, just making sure I'm like in view. Can you see
Yeah,
me well?
we can see you. We can see the hair as well, so we can definitely see.
No, awesome, awesome.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining, Bree. It's much appreciated. Um, So to everyone else that we have online, we're about to start our session. So I just shared with everyone briefly, but I see we have a few more people joining in. Um, so Wipilo is into a number of things. She's into speaking, she's into communications, contact, content marketing, and social and digital media as well. So she's a host, she's a speaker, she's an expert in different fields. She's also just an all-round, highly accomplished and established person in her field. And so I want us to talk to her today to learn more about one about personal branding. What did she do to brand herself to get to where she is today? And what can we get from that in terms of how can we brand ourselves at work? How can you brand yourself in business, in in music, in sports, whatever field you are in, personal branding applies. So how can you do that? And so I hope that we all have our coffee, our tea ready because I'm ready here. So hope we're all comfortable.
Yep.
With that said, so you wear a number of hats. There are a couple of things that you do. So can you just take us through how this all started and just basically how you got to live the life that you live today?
Yeah. Well, firstly, let me say thank you so much, Pako, for having me on, this incredible platform. I am so excited to be here and to be a part of this. So thank you for inviting me. And hi to everyone who's joining. I'm excited to be chatting to you guys. So, to answer your question, the journey, wow. Maybe I'll start with what I studied because, that always kind of provides a good background of where the journey was and, just basically where I started to where I am. So I studied politics and international relations. That's where basically that's my academic background. And my intention really with that was to go into diplomacy. So I was quite interested in actually pursuing a career in that space. But through my experience in university, I realized I had a passion for media, for television, for radio. And one thing that I was clear on is that I didn't necessarily want to be an entertainment figure. So I had to kind of find a way of merging what I was studying, which I was very interested in, very passionate about, with now this newfound passion for the media industry, right? Sorry, before I continue, I'm hearing feedback on my side. Are you hearing me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly clearly.
Okay. So I then started off by volunteering at a local television and station, being Soweto TV. And then I also, because I'm from Alex originally, I also started volunteering at Alex FM within the space, right? And that's where I got my first exposure to, presenting to the media and just really merging the two. And I think here, the most important thing for the listeners to note is that I started out as a volunteer. So I basically put my hand up to say, hey guys, I am studying politics at this university and I have a keen interest in this space. And I am basically, here to offer my services free of charge. And, they took it up. It was a great partnership. I would go there every Tuesdays. So they would actually fetch me from campus and then would go and do the show and then they'd drop me back. And that's where basically then my journey started. And as I grew from there, and I think important to this topic tonight is that your personal brand will evolve also based on what you're passionate about, right? And what you are interested in. So you need to understand that it's an evolution and a growth as you grow as a person as well. So from media, then I basically took a pause when I entered Miss South Africa, spending, a year of my life and my career dedicating it to that journey and that experience. That was also something I was quite passionate about. From a young age, I had always been involved in pageantry and modeling, and then eventually, got to the time or a moment where I felt ready to do Miss South Africa. And then I spent a year during that. Following the pageant, I mean, it's a whirlwind rather, and a life-changing experience that also caused me to start exploring new opportunities, because that was also an experience and a platform that allowed me to be exposed to all these new things that I could do and directions that I could take, right? So after that, I had the option to go back into my media career or to pursue something else. So the opportunity to join corporate was there. And I was like, you know what, as much as I'm very passionate about this industry and this side of life, I do want to diversify and allow myself to experience this corporate journey. So my corporate journey was only supposed to be 1 year, right? Because I started out as an intern. And then 5 years later, there I was, doing the most in the space. And again, I had to rebuild and redevelop my brand, because now people knew me for one thing, right? I was now the Miss South Africa contestant coming into a corporate space. I had to go through a rebrand within that space so that the people in that environment could respect me and acknowledge me for what I was bringing over and above now this personal brand that I had built in the media and the pageantry space. And within there, that's where then I found or rather actually exercised a different part of my passion within communications and marketing and brand marketing. and so forth. So in a nutshell, that's the journey.
All right, no, awesome, awesome. So, in terms of the challenges that you faced in moving from the pageantry space to the corporate space, what would you say was the key challenge, and how did you basically work through that?
So the biggest one was having the title of my previous activity, right? Coming into corporate, being known as the girl from South Africa. So that came with its own. I mean, I think pageantry generally just comes with, just stereotypes. So I realized that some of the people I was working with, or rather the environment I was in, did box me, right? As, the pretty girl, not really sure what she brings to the table. She's probably here because of that. And I realized that within that space, I had to rebrand myself and reestablish my brand to basically fit, or rather not even fit, because it's really not about fitting yourself into boxes, right? But it's about educating people about who you are, right? And that's a powerful stance that you need to take in building your personal brand. Because if you are not deliberate about how people must treat you, must receive you, they will brand you, right? So I had to be quite intentional with the day to day. And that meant working extra harder, presenting myself more, putting my hand up more to show them my value, which is an important thing, because your brand is essentially your value. What people know you for is the thing that you bring to the table, right? And I had to show them and teach them that, hey, Boipelo is not just the pageant girl. She's not just the look girl, but she's got brains and she's got great ideas that are actually going to move this business forward. And, it was my job to ensure that I was showing up in the way that I wanted to be received within the space.
Well, then awesome. Then I know that one of the things that you also do, actually speaking to what you offer, is the speaking. So, at what point in your life did you discover this talent for public speaking?
Yeah. So, I don't even know if I can call it a talent, but uh, interestingly, growing up, I was incredibly shy, and I would very well describe myself as an introvert growing up. And the speaking thing also became a task, or rather a skill that I had to develop and grow, right? Now that I've acknowledged and I see where it is I need to be and where I want to go, you also have to be able to identify the key elements that you need to get yourself there. And speaking was a given, given my interest in pageants and media. So I remember one of the things that I would do before I even became a newsreader, wherever I would go, if there's anything to read, I would literally be in a car reading billboards, like I was a newsreader, reading them out loud. In class at school, as scary as and daunting as it can be, I would always put my hand up to be that girl who reads to the class. When your teacher asks, okay, can somebody please read for us this chapter, this line, this paragraph, I would always put my hand up. And eventually, the more you do that, the better you get at it, right? And the better you get to deal also with the nerves, because I used to be a very nervous speaker, to a point where, my voice would shake, my hands would shake. But I also realized that the more I put myself on those platforms to talk, the better I got at dealing with those nerves and knowing how to kind of read the room and engage with the room, to this point where I am now more comfortable. I can get on a stage and, speak confidently without necessarily going through those motions of the nerves. But it really took a lot of putting myself out there, putting my hand up, volunteering, and really just getting and grabbing those opportunities that put me on that platform. So wherever I was just always that person. So in church, even with my friends, giving speeches at parties. So it's not even something formal that you kind of have to enroll for a course or a class or a training thing for, but it was really about identifying opportunities within my day-to-day life that would allow me to grow the skill and hone it. And I think that also that's what I'm gonna, throw to the audience and encourage them to do, that it's really about identifying those moments in your life that allow you to build certain skills. And that's where you need to start.
I love that. I love that. So basically, do it even if you're scared. Even if you're nervous, go for it nonetheless.
100%.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. So then, I think this leads me to my next question on mindset. So I've read a number of books that talk about mindset and how mindset is so key to success. So what would you say is the mindset that helped you get to where you are today? Is there a certain type of thinking? Are there certain principles that you live by that have helped you get to the stages that you're at today?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the biggest ones is the world doesn't owe me anything, right? And I'm just gonna kind of focus on that a lot because we are apparently from a very entitled generation. um, but and that's a state of mind to understand and move through life, understanding that actually nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you an opportunity. Nobody owes you a job. Nobody owes you money. Nobody owes you a platform, right? And that's why for me it's actually so great, and I really do take a moment to acknowledge and be grateful for the opportunities and the platforms that I get, like tonight, because nobody owed me that, right? And for me, it's the kind of mindset that has helped me to understand my strength and to understand what it is I bring to the world. If I'm expecting the world to give me things, what am I bringing to the world, right? And that's also helped me move through life and move through my career, acknowledging that, okay, Boipelo, this is not about what this next person can give to you, but what are you bringing to the table? What value are you bringing to their life, to this organization, to make sure that they can see who you are through the value that you bring, not what I ask. And I think that's such a powerful place to be, because you will never be waiting, just waiting for opportunities or just waiting for something to drop from the sky. Not even God works like that, right? That you need to exercise faith, you need to exercise action in order for Him to be able to move through you and in your life as well.
All right. So something that I get out of that is the need for having a work ethic as well.
Absolutely. Hard work trumps talent.
I
and
like that. I like
I'm sure we know that, right? Um, Along life, you will meet so many talented people who you see them kind of wasting away, not because they're not good at it, but they're just not applying the work that needs to come with it, right? You could be untalented, or rather just not know the skill, but because you've dedicated your time, your energy, you go the extra mile to learn it and to do it, you actually then become the best at it. And really that's what it takes, right?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That's exactly what it takes. And this leads me back to something, personal branding. So for a number of people, they feel that it's an entire job. You have to manage what you post, how you dress, what you say, and things like that. So tell me, in your experience, is it worth it? Is all the effort worth it? And how has it helped you in your career over the years?
Yeah. One thing that I will say is that the effort is never worth it if there's no goal in it, right? So it's important that when you are thinking about your personal brand, that it's not just about building a brand or being famous or getting a lot of followers, but you need a goal. You need to have a vision as to what underpins the actions that I will take to build this brand, right? What is the value that I am bringing, and what is it do I want people to know about me, and why? And those are important questions that you need to be able to answer for yourself to determine the actions that then will go, the investment that will go into building your personal brand, right? So for me, one of the things, or a big part of my personal brand and the underpinning of it, is hashtag be inspired, right? Which you may have seen on my posts. And basically, be inspired for me is what truly underpins my personal brand. The B basically stands for Boipelo, and the inspiration part is really what I want to carry. It's the message that I am putting across, that whenever I do put content out or a post out, I ask myself the question, does it fit into, is it be inspired? Is it something that's going to inspire and motivate another person in what they are doing? And for me, every time I think about taking a picture or creating content or even investing money in the content that I create, that's the question I ask. So is it worth it? Definitely, because it's going towards what I am building holistically as a personal brand. And again, if you don't have a goal as to, okay, cool, so what, be inspired? At the end of the day, it's about being able to commoditize your brand, commercialize it. We see this with so many of, celebrities, and I'll just use, a prime example like Rihanna. She started out as a singer, and now she's gotten big in the beauty industry. That is the power of a personal brand that you can commercialize. So being able to build that brand to a point where you can actually, it grows legs, and you can actually build another career or another opportunity from that. So if you have attached all of those elements to building a personal brand, then definitely it's worth it, because then you can step back and say, cool, this is how spending a day creating content is going to help me, in the future. This is something that's going to open up this opportunity and this door. For, personally, for me, what has happened is my personal brand is what's allowed me to tap into different spaces, and it's actually opened a lot of doors and opportunities for me to play in those different spaces. Even in my corporate career, even though my personal brand, one might argue, is outside of the walls of the organization that I work for, but that is the brand that people are eating up, and that is the brand that the organization wants and that they benefit from too, as even having me as a part of their organization. So it's really about being able to see the different ways that your personal brand can actually do the talking for you in rooms that you are not present in.
And then that's a great point, because I see a lot of that actually, even in the local market. You have someone that starts off in music, then they launch a clothing brand, then they get into acting, and it just goes on and on and on and on, and it's something that it's a science basically at this point. Build a brand and gain the brand equity and put it in another venture. Yeah. So still on social media. So then how do you manage to have fun on social media without damaging your brand? I mean, we have trends and stuff on Facebook, on TikTok, and they're fun, like we want to take part, we want to be part of it all. So how do you manage to be fun, to be social, but without damaging your brand?
It's truly one principle for me, right? Social media does not inform how I act on it. I inform how I want to act on social. So that's an important place you need to be when you are engaging on social, that you're not going to put something out because everyone else is doing it, or because you're feeling the pressure because it's trending and you also want to trend, or because you're seeing, other people just do it. You must do it because firstly, you believe in it. Number two, because it's actually building towards or adding and strengthening the messaging that you are putting, towards your brand. And it's not a reactive thing. And once you have those, going back to what I was saying about having goals, having a vision for your personal brand, that makes it so much easier, because then you know how to make decisions as to what you participate in and what you don't participate in. I go on social media breaks that allow me to basically break away from just constantly thinking about, oh, cool, what am I posting on social, or just engaging. And really, that's part of building a healthy ecosystem for myself, to understand that my personal brand is also my personal well-being, right? If I'm not okay, and then I want to use social media to share my feelings and, you know, therapize through the platform, that's an impact on my brand as well, right? If I want to share certain things and exactly how, you know, and strong opinions about things that are not informed, but because I'm acting from a place of emotions, that's also something that's going to add to your brand or take away from your brand. So you need to understand that social media is a tool, right? It's not real life. And I'm sure we know this by now. And that's how we need to treat it. It's a tool for us to use to amplify, to strengthen, and to build. And that's exactly what it needs to be.
I love what you said about social media not having an impact on you, but rather you having an impact on social media. That's really, really awesome. Because what I see, especially with the youth, their lives tend to be focused around social media, around getting the likes and the trends and just having a huge following, you know. So I think the way that you put it is amazing. Then still on social media though. So I know that you have a huge following on LinkedIn, and which is a platform that most people struggle with. The traction on LinkedIn, getting likes and the shares and everything, it's quite sluggish for the average person. So
Yeah.
I want to know how you cracked that code, how you got to gain that significant following and the connections on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah. So the power of LinkedIn or any other social media platform, or rather growing your following, is about value. What value are you bringing people to follow you, right? Why should people follow you? They can't just follow you because you post nice pictures. You have to give value. And when you look at the people who have a big following outside of the usual celebrities, or, you know, people who are on the usual mainstream media, it's people who give value, who are either educating audiences, who are, you know, providing great tips, insights, research, whatever the case is. And for me on LinkedIn, because it speaks so much to my personal brand and where I'm trying to go and what I'm building, it was the perfect platform for me to share those value moments, to share my thoughts, to share, you know, my experience. If you go on my LinkedIn, you know, I have a series of content formats that I share my content through. I've got articles where, you know, I'm reviewing books or sharing just personal branding tips like tonight. And it's really about that, right? And also because you're building and establishing your brand in something. And that's exactly what that platform is about, where then you step up to say, cool, I'm a voice in this space. I know a little bit, and this is what I'm going to share. And naturally the numbers will come. You know, don't do things because of numbers. Do things because this is building towards your goal and the personal brand that you're trying to eventually commoditize / commercialize, right? And that's what needs to be the driving factor. The driving factor shouldn't be, oh no, today I've got 2 likes, or tomorrow I want 100 likes. It really should be, what value am I bringing people, that even if I get 1 like, I will be happy because I've brought value to someone.
Perfect. Then I've seen people use LinkedIn a bit like Facebook. I've seen people post social pictures and the like. So in terms of your own observations, what are some of the things that you see people commonly do wrong on LinkedIn? Because one thing that I know about LinkedIn is that it's a very formal setting. So if you come in a very casual manner, you seem not to know exactly what you're doing. You seem lost and you just stand out for all the wrong reasons. So I just want to know, and what do you think are the common 2, maybe 3 mistakes that people make in trying to gain traction on LinkedIn?
Yeah. So, I mean, you've definitely mentioned one of the biggest ones, right? Just not being relevant to the platform. The content that I post mostly on Instagram, you may not see on LinkedIn. And that's for that very reason, right? The different platforms serve different purposes, and you need to understand how your personal brand fits in the various platforms or on the various platforms. So another one though that I've picked up, especially on LinkedIn, is that people tend to use it as an announcement platform. It's not that, right? Where you are announcing your next big thing. So if when you're not achieving anything or doing anything that you deem great, then there's no content. Um, but it's not a place for you. It's not a place for bragging rights. But if you're gonna do it, you need to do it with value, adding value. Okay, you got this, so what? Okay, you've achieved this, so what? Like, what is that to people, and what are you bringing to people, to your audiences, based on that achievement? So for me, that's definitely one of the biggest ones that I see a lot of people doing. That, oh no, LinkedIn is just an announcement platform of all the amazing things I'm doing and achieving. And I think generally that's a thing across social media platforms. But, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but what I am saying is that, okay, then so what? Then what? So what must we do about that? Yes, we can celebrate you and clap for you, but it's even more powerful when you then bring the value to show us, okay, this is why you're here. This is why you got this, because, this is actually what you're bringing to us as your followers and your audiences, who will engage you even more and as a result grow your platform.
And actually, I've seen a number of memes that say that a person will be an MD, a founder, a CEO, a CEO, all at 21. I've seen a number of
Exactly.
memes. So people generally think that LinkedIn is a place to brag, a place to be pretentious, and if you aren't doing anything, if you aren't making any moves, then you have no place on LinkedIn. So I like what you said, being about a place where you bring value. So rather than just announce that you managed to do something, announce it and share nuggets on how you managed to get there, what you did, and just tips so that other people can learn from that achievement.
Yeah.
So speaking on achievements, I'm sure that in your own journey you've had moments of failure. And I just want to know, how do you manage to get yourself up when you want to throw in the towel, when you're tired and things just didn't pan out the way that you thought they would? What's your
Mm.
technique for that?
Yeah. So the first thing is always to stop and look back at how far I've come. That's number one, right? As people, we don't give ourselves enough credit for how hard we've worked to get to where we are, no matter how big or small you think it is. The fact that I'm like, yeah, I graduated once or twice or whatever the case is, that's an achievement. That's something to look back on and say, wow, you did that. The fact that you've gone through all these things and you've achieved and done so much, and it doesn't even have to be the big things that people want to talk about. It could just be you getting through the day successfully, you presenting well at a meeting, you dealing with a personal situation in a healthy way that's left you feeling encouraged and positive. So it's really just stopping and smelling the roses, because a lot of the time when we dwell in so-called failure, it's because we are not actually acknowledging the journey that we've been on. We are not acknowledging our strength and our power in those moments and in those situations, and we just keep mounting the pressure on ourselves to keep doing well, right? I'm a person who's achievement driven, and I have been that way for a while. But I've also come to a point where I have had to stop and take a step back to say, geez, B, you've done well. And, take it in and shut the noise and just, smell it, woof it in. And it's also really about remembering where you're going, right? So once you've taken stock of everything and where you are, it's really about remembering why you're doing what you're doing, right? And any good journey, any good and powerful brand will go through things. You'll go through failures and moments. Rome certainly was not built in a day. Big brands that we love today were not built in a day. You know, I can mention brands like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, like all of those, they went through a lot of things along the way, even just people's personal brands and people that we look up to and like. But we need to acknowledge and realize that it's never really about the now and what's happening in this moment, but you need to be able to attribute your work and your effort now to where you're going and what you're trying to build. So for me, it's definitely those two things. So taking a moment to look back at how far I've come, and then, you know, taking another moment to look ahead to where I am actually going, and then I get up and go.
Yeah, that's really great because actually, as you say that, I know that you're a Christian as well, and something that I've heard in a sermon basically talked about how back in the day, the Hebrews would actually build what's it called? Monuments. You know, each time God did something, they would build something there so that they don't forget how far they've come and what God did for them in the past. So that when times are tough, they can say, yo, there's that monument. That's when God did this for us, you know, hey, that was a tough time, but we made it through, you know, and it'll basically help to just keep their faith and their hope up as well. So, yeah. So if someone struggles to, you know, lift themselves up and to remind themselves how far they've come, that's when maybe there'd be need for someone like a coach or a mentor. So I'd like to know, in your life, has coaching and mentoring played any key part?
Absolutely. You know, it's played a major part, an important part. And what's important to also understand is that you need to know when to listen and when to shut out the voices, right? And it's also important to know who plays what role in your life. People tend to think that having a mentor who is supposed to, you know, probably guide your career will also be able to guide you in your personal experiences. But it's really about surrounding yourself with people, different types of people who can speak different things and have or come with different values and contributions into your life, right? One of the things that I've acknowledged and I'm currently on the journey for is actually finding a career mentor. That's one thing that I have not actually had, right? But then you begin to realize that, oh, actually, I've been expecting something from the wrong person. And not that they are bad or anything or not good, but it's just that thing of being able to decipher and discern that, okay, cool, this person was good for this part of my life, but right now for where I'm going, I need this type of person. And that's how we need to also think about mentorship, that mentorship is not a having someone who will open doors for you just anytime you need a door opened, but it's also about understanding the value exchange between you and that person, right? Because even mentors gain from their mentees, and again, always think about the value you are bringing to that other person, right? It may not be financial, it may not be from in a tangible or material way that we tend to reduce these types of relationship to, but it can be your experience, it can be your perspective that they appreciate, that they never really get to experience or get in their own lives. So it's really just about thinking about that, and it's so important to know who to listen to and when and at what point. And that takes time and maturity and engaging with a wide range of people and not being afraid, right? To also tap into people who are not like you, who don't speak like you, who don't look like you. And for me, that's actually been quite a key experience in my career, that I've opened myself up to people who are not necessarily in my space. Like if I had to show you my network in image format, like you might be surprised because of the types of people I engage with across the spectrum, across age, race, experience, backgrounds, a lot of the people that I engage with are not in my industry. And that's how I actually am able to build on my knowledge and stretch myself even further, because my lenses are wide, or my perspective is wider, because I'm not thinking like a marketer. I'm not thinking like a media person, but I'm thinking, from an engineer's perspective and how they kind of go about things, for example. So it's important for us to actually open ourselves up that much to learn more and to be able to gain more from the different people around us.
I love that last point. I love it because I've been studying innovation, and something that I've come across is that a lot of innovation happens when two people who are from completely different backgrounds come together and exchange ideas, because they're coming from different mindsets. Something new comes out of that, and I think that the same also applies, as you're saying, of course, to mentorship. And I think another key point that you made is around how, as a mentee, you need to add value to the relationship. And I think often the common perception of mentorship is that it's a one-way street. I come to you as a mentor with my notebook, whatever you say, I just take notes. I take notes. I go back again next time. I get more knowledge, more insight. So I think we tend to not value non-financial contributions in terms of a relationship, because one would think, my mentor is established. He has all the money under the sun, all the connections for someone who's at that level. So I think that's a really, really, really great twist to that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I'd just like to work towards wrapping up our conversation. And I wanted to just get from you any insights that you can share with our audience. I mean, we mostly have a fairly young audience online. So in the branding space, in the career space, and just the journey to success in any field, really, anything on your mind that you feel is pertinent to share at this point?
Yeah. So the first thing, to remaining, true to this topic of personal branding, is that personal brands are not for the rich and famous or the people with the big titles. All of us have a personal brand, and all of us have a responsibility to build and be intentional about our personal brand. And maybe just to simplify it even further down is to say your personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. Do they say, Pako, yo, that guy who talks a lot, yo, that guy who was always quoting scripture, or, who has such a nice voice, or who his shoes are always shiny, or that girl who's always got makeup on, or whatever. That is your personal brand. And if you're not intentional about building that narrative or informing that narrative, then people will run with whatever they want to think about you, right? And my personal experience is very much coming from the pageant world, now trying to build something in the corporate world, where that title of my pageant days and my modeling days followed me into this new space. And unfortunately, it wasn't working for me in that space, right? To a certain extent, because of that stereotypical thinking and people tending not to want to take me seriously. And I had to take that into my hands and start acting in a way that reinformed the brand, right? By the time I left the space or the particular organization I was in, people knew exactly what I brought to the table. And I was very pleased with that. And again, same thing, and we don't even have to go that as far as social media. In your home, what kind of reputation do you have at home? Are your family and your friends and your neighbors, when they look at you or talk about you, what do they say? Because unfortunately, people think that they can build beautiful brands on platforms like social media, Instagram, LinkedIn. But I think we have seen over the years and over time that what you do behind the scenes catches up with you, right? Because your personal brand is not the picture you're posting on social media. It's what you are doing in secret when no one's watching. That always comes out. Great leaders, someone that I listen to from a leadership perspective quite a lot, Dr. Miles Monroe, who's late now, he talks about that. And he talks about the character of leadership or the character of people, which is so important because ultimately that becomes your personal brand. And there's so many leaders that, Pako, I'm sure you also know, who had great brands, but because of that one thing that they were doing behind the scenes and secret, it came to light and all of that came tumbling down. Their reputation was ruined with that one headline, because they were actually not living the brand or living what they were saying and telling people, right? You cannot buy a good personal brand. There's no money in the world that can buy it. Yes, maybe you can promote certain things and get a good PR team behind you, but the fact is the truth and the authenticity will always come through. And that's what you need to remember. And lastly, in closing, as we are charting towards building strong and personal brands, always think about how is this actually adding to your goals, your life goals, because it's really not useful for you to be doing two things because, oh no, you want to change and you want to do this, but oh no, what you're on social media is not what you are in real life. I always find that to be very startling, when people say that, and I can't connect the two. Because even if maybe you are posting funny videos online, that's a part of you that's actually is you, right? That you enjoy, that you love. So it's really about finding a golden thread and a beautiful middle ground that will allow you to even move, right? And grow and evolve, which is so important, because you need to think about your brand 20 years from now. Are you still going to be active enough, young enough to be posting those funny videos when you are 55? That is the question. And that's why brands like Oprah are so powerful, because she's managed to evolve the brand with time and it's remained relevant over the years. And that's how we need to think about ourselves and our personal brands, that if I'm posting this type of content today, how will it also serve me at 50 or at 60, or when now I've changed my course and now I want to go into a different stream that may not necessarily speak to where I'm at right now. But it's really about understanding that you have the power and the tools to create your personal brand. And number two, to have a bird's eye view on the idea of your personal brand, that, okay, I am 20 now, but what does this look like for me when I'm 30, when I'm 40, when I become a mother, when I become a father, when I want to be a CEO of a company? How is this gonna, support those dreams and those goals? So yeah, I will leave it there.
No, awesome. We great insights. Digital footprint, basically. Because I've seen so many people lose out on jobs, on opportunities, because of something that they put up 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and
Exactly.
somehow, and people always say, no, but I'm a different person now. That's who I was 10 years ago, but I've changed, I've evolved and stuff. But unfortunately, the world says, but it's still your name attached to it. You might have matured and gone through whatever type of growth and awakening, but are still you. Just you from a different. Yeah. So it's painful to watch, painful to see, and I really wish people would take heed of what you're saying and save themselves pain 5 years from now. Especially with the trends and stuff like that.
Social media doesn't forget, right?
It doesn't.
Never forget. It's unforgiving. So you can change your life, but the files from 20 years ago will come out.
Like I've seen with my Facebook memories, they've popped up, and I see something that I posted 6 years ago, and I'm like, hey, I cringe. Like, why did I post this? Why does this exist online? So I'm constantly deleting all the posts. Almost every day I have to delete something. I was like, okay, just didn't find the time. But now I see it, I'm like, you know what? This was not a smart move. Yeah. So we have a couple of people online. So to our audience, this is your chance to drop in comments, any questions that you want to ask our awesome host. I'll just go through a few of them now. I see from Stonebridge BW saying thank you. Then Ode84, good personal brand, money cannot buy. Then Ramiles also, you cannot buy a good personal brand. So yeah, clearly that's your quotable line out of this. Story A says thank you for the insightful conversation. Then the lawyer CEO, I love everything about personal branding. So I don't know if there's any question from the audience, you can throw it in the chat. I see the comments and the compliments. So if anything,
thank you guys. Yeah, I'm reading some of the comments here on a separate device because I don't want to, disturb the live.
Awesome. Yeah. So
thank you all.
So Bui, yeah, I think I just like to thank you for your time and for the valuable insights that you've shared. They're absolutely priceless, and I've gotten a lot of value out of them, and I trust that our audience as well is leaving this session with something that they can apply in their businesses, in their careers, in their families, even as you said, and just build better brands and authentic brands, more than anything. I think we need brands that are authentic. I've been asked what's the difference between a con man and someone who's doing personal branding, So yes, comes down to being authentic and being able to deliver on what you say you can deliver, talking a good game and actually walking the good game as well. So that's something that you've stressed on a number of points throughout our conversation. So thank you again, once again. And to the audience, please do follow Bui on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Any other platform, Bui, that they should follow you on?
No, actually, my main platforms are Instagram and LinkedIn. Yeah, so you can find me there at Boipelo Mabe.
Okay. Thanks so much, and have yourself a lovely evening. And to our guests, thank you. We'll do this again in about a week or two from now. Look out for the updates. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.